All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our NFL prop show sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. We got a juicy slate for you on week 2 of the NFL season, and I'm excited to get into it. I'm happy to be joined by Eric, the Doc Mendelson of Triple Play Fantasy's baseball, football, and basketball podcast. He also runs Triple Play Fantasy's Twitter as well, so make sure to check out that content for all your fantasy needs. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, Brad. Let's not act like you're not on the football show and running the Twitter as well, man. You're part of the brand. Me and you are like the same person. We're both handsome.
Just in case, somebody watching this has never seen us, I want to give you that official title,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So before we get into today's props, I should mention that all the lines we'll be talking about today are brought to you by Monkey Knife Fight. Make sure to sign up and deposit using promo code TRIPLEPLAY. It'll get us paid, and new depositors will be matched up to $100. So you can tune into us every week to help you flip that. And also make sure you check out Kevin's college football Monkey Knife Fight over-under recommendations as well on Triple Play Fantasy's YouTube channel and Twitter. He knows his stuff, and he's been churning out winners. So without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start with MKF's more or less game. Get both right, and you 3x your buy-in. We have Tom Brady more or less than 309.5 yards and Dak Prescott more or less than 305.5 yards. Eric, how are you feeling about these?
So I'm taking more on both. And my reasoning for Brady, he had 213 at half last week. So that's more than halfway there. Figure that Tampa Bay is going to press the gas on the offense early. Atlanta has a bad pass D. They gave up 32 points to the Eagles last week. Jalen Hurts, obviously not the quarterback that Tom Brady is, and I don't think you have to worry about that rushing upside. We don't know what Ronald Jones's role will be. He was benched after fumbling last week. And I read something earlier this year that Brady is striving to break every record in the book, Peyton Manning's touchdown record, the passing yards record in the season. And I think to do that, he's going to need to play all 17 games. And, Brady's not the type of person to let off the gas. So I like more for him. And then with Dak Prescott, I think this is going to be a shootout game. The Cowboys just lost to Marcus Lawrence. Their cornerbacks, Trayvon Diggs is 6'2", and Anthony Brown is 5'11". Keenan Allen is 6'2", and Mike Williams is 6'4". So I think it's going to be a pass-friendly game, and I think Dallas is going to need to play catch-up. And Dak threw the ball, I think, 57 times last week. So yeah, that might be their key to success.
Yeah, we're locked in on this one. I think this one's relatively straightforward. I think if Atlanta's defense is probably in the bottom 5 in the league, which it looks like they are, Brady's going to cut right through them, just like Jalen Hurts did last week. Atlanta also won't be able to run the ball against the Bucs defense, so there's going to be a lot of possessions for the Bucs to put up numbers. So I'm going more on Brady. I also take that logic with Dak. Last week I thought Dak might come out slow and get some garbage time yardage against the Bucs late, but he came out firing and he looked very solid, throwing for over 400 yards. I think settling a 305.5 line against the Chargers offense that will have no problem scoring on the Dallas defense, missing their best pass rusher, that's an easy pick for us. So I'm going to go more on 305.5 for Dak as well. So let's move on to another more or less game. We're going to go to Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. So as you can see here, Derrick Henry is playing Seattle defense. His line is more or less than 88.5. And Dalvin Cook is playing the Arizona defense, and his line is more or less than 81.5. So Eric, how are you feeling about these ones?
So for Derrick Henry, I'm taking more than 88.5. In 11 out of 16 games last year, he had 100 or more rushing yards. And he had 17 carries last game, which would be the second lowest that he's had in the last year and a half, or I'd say year in the introductory to this season. And I think game script is just what didn't favor it, because the Cardinals pulled an early lead. Ryan Tannehill had a couple turnovers. The offense didn't look as efficient. I think they tried to feed the ball to Julio a little bit too often. But I think the offense still runs through Derrick Henry. So last year he averaged 23 carries per game. Like I said, week 1, he had 17. So I'm seeing him getting more volume against a vulnerable Seattle front 7. And for Dalvin Cook, I'm going less than 81.5 rushing yards. He had 20 for 61 in game 1. So the volume was there. He's on the road versus the Cardinals, who just put up 38 that we talked about at Tennessee. I think game script is going to favor the Vikings having to throw the ball. Kirk Cousins did throw the ball 49 times last game. they have a good front seven. Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. J.J. Watt looked very good in his first game. And I think there's a little bit of discontinuity with the Vikings right now. Their offense didn't look as well-oiled as we've seen in the past, and maybe that was from Cousins skipping time in OTA with not getting vaccinated. Don't want to bring anything political, but I think for teams that didn't have that time to get, maybe. But for teams that didn't have that off-season rapport, I think it's going to take them a couple weeks to get everything rolling. So I'm going less than Dalvin Cook, 81.5.
That's fair. I think those are all valid points. We're actually flipped on these ones. I think we're going to have some bragging rights here. So,
all right.
For Derrick Henry, I'm going less. He had a pedestrian game by his standards last week, and they're underdogs against Seattle, which will likely favor the Tennessee passing game. So in a game script scenario where the passing game is probably going to be more in favor, I'm going to go less than 88.5 for Henry. As for Cook, I'm going to go more. I'm going to go more than that line that he had. I think we learned last week that this Arizona offense is high flying. And as a result, the Vikings are going to want to keep the ball out of Kyler's hands for as long as possible. He got 20 carries last week, and I'm expecting 25 to 30 this week. You don't want a shootout. Dalvin's good for 4+ yards per carry against Arizona. J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones, they're known for their pass rushing, not sort of their run defense. So I'm going to go more on Cook. So moving on, why not have some fun? We're going to do an absurd prop. You need to get 10 out of 10 correct to get paid on this one. It's very unlikely. So unlikely that if you get it correct, Monkey Knife Fight will multiply your buy-in by 500 times. That's right, 500 times. Bet $10 and win $5,000. You all understand math, so let's get into it. What are you thinking about these 10, Eric?
So DeAndre Hopkins, I have less. I think Arizona is going to bracket him, or they're going to have Patrick Peterson cover him. And I think D-Hop probably gets a touchdown or two. I think he still has a good fantasy day, but not over or more than 90.5 yards is a lot. I have Herbert more than 300.5. As mentioned, the Chargers have a lot of height at wide receiver. They had 25 running back carries last week. It's the home opener. I think they really want to put up a lot of points. With Calvin Ridley, I'm going to have less than 85.5 receiving yards. I think as the wide receiver one, he just hasn't shown over a long period of time that he can dominate with that. And I think with the Bucs, they're going to really suffocate them. And with that great pass rush and porous Atlanta offensive line, I just don't see him having the time to get a lot of long targets. Russell Wilson, more than 285.5. He always begins the season well. # let Russ cook. I have Matt Ryan less than 275.5 passing yards. Once again, I think the Tampa Bay Buck pass defense and run defense is very good. Atlanta just looked awful week 1, and I could definitely see them fighting for the number 1 pick. I know that's not a popular thing. And for Carson, I'm going more than 70.5 rushing yards. Rashad Penny is likely to miss this game with a calf issue. He averaged 4.8 yards per carry last season. He got 16 carries week 1. And the Titans' run defense looked awful week 1. So I think it's a high-scoring game for Seattle and good fantasy days for Chris Carson and Russell Wilson.
Eric, I'm not going to echo everything you just said. We're on agreement for everything except for the guys that we just talked on, those 2 running backs. So I'll leave it there. The 10X is going to be hard to hit, but it's worth it for just a small investment. So I think that'll be a fun game to play, and it makes watching your Sunday football even more fun. So that'll do it for our MKF games for our second week of the season. Make sure to use code TRIPLEPLAY when you make an account, deposit, and play on Monkey Knife Fight. Eric, do you have anything you want to plug before we sign off?
No, make sure you watch our other content as well. We do great stuff with baseball, basketball, football, interviews, fantasy stuff. We got you covered. And please leave some comments, some feedback. It always helps us get better.